There we go. Let's do that again. Okay, so welcome to the PRC. Thank you for joining us. We only have we have a couple of regrets, Sarah and Tracy, and none others that I have. I think we have a perennial regret from Howard, and that's the way it is. So that's it for the regrets. Can I have someone to move to approve the agenda as circulated? Matthew, seconder, Irving, thank you very much. All right, guys.
Welcome.
Okay, so major news items. As I've been doing lately, I've just itemized 7 news items that have arisen since our last meeting. They're all pretty much self-explanatory. The appointment of Louise Arbour isn't necessarily a criminal justice piece of news, although her signature goes on every bit of every justice bill that has to be brought into law. But it's an important appointment. She's incredibly well qualified. She actually I had her as a prof in the late 1970s at Osgood, so I know Louise, although I'm sure she doesn't remember me. But anyway, that was interesting. Nothing else is really stands out other than we're going to talk about the introduction of Ontario Bill 119 when we get to the other items on the agenda. And Bill C-14 is still with the Senate being reviewed. And as we mentioned last month, we asked to appear, but we're not given that opportunity. All right. Does anybody else have any comments with respect to the news items I've listed or any other news items that we haven't posted on the agenda? Are
No.
we good? All right. We'll move on to business arising, and that takes us to the parliamentary committees. The first committee is the Commons, Justice, and Human Rights. Sarah is away. She sent me a brief note about what had gone on in the committee, but it really wasn't very much, and it wasn't, from what I could tell, relating to the last month or so. So we'll ask Sarah when we return to our next meeting to bring us up to date on the Justice Report from the last time she actually presented. With respect to the Commons, Public Safety, and National Security, Rob is here. Thanks, Rob. We can hear from you, please.
Okay. CQ met 4 times since our previous meeting on May 26th, 28th, June 2nd, and 4th. All 4 meetings were about Bill C-22, an act respecting lawful access. So that's the one where they're attempting to modernize provisions respecting timely gathering and production of data and information during an investigation. So mainly from technology companies and those who hold that type of information. There's a framework for that so that electronic service providers can facilitate the exercising of the authorities to access information covered under the Criminal Code and Canadian Security Intelligence Service Act, and it also provides for parliamentary review of these activities beginning in the 3rd year after if it passes. So on May 26th, I'll just cover this one briefly. This was the only one where they had the written record was available on the CQ website. So in this one, you had legal, privacy, and technology experts emphasizing the need for modernization, but also warning the bill being overly broad and rushed and could weaken privacy. In contrast, you have law enforcement and public safety witnesses strongly supporting the bill and arguing that it's essential to address modern digital crime and improve access to critical data and prevent harm in cases such as child exploitation and extortion. Overall, there just seemed to be a tension between quickly equipping police with effective tools while ensuring safeguards, proper safeguards are in place for privacy and civil liberties. So that was one of the meetings where that was the one meeting where the written record was available on the CQ website. The other 3 were not available. So that's all I have. Any questions or concerns, feel free to get in touch with me.
Thanks, Rob. Any questions or concerns right now? Okay, appreciate that. All right, next on our list is the Senate Legal and Constitutional Affairs. That's Martin's committee. He's not here. I don't see Martin. I didn't hear from him with respect to a regret regarding attendance. So I'll send him a note after the meeting, and then hopefully he can bring us up to date at our next meeting. And lastly, we have the Senate Human Rights Committee, and that's Dick.
Last week, the Senate Human Rights Committee released its report on Bill C-9, the hate crime legislation, and basically it's very supportive of the legislation. The report's based on the submissions of over 50 witnesses and over 40 written briefs. Just some of the main points in the report are these. First of all, they note that the bill is consistent with the committee's previous recommendations on Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. Things like a standalone hate crime offense, provisions related to the display of symbols associated with hate groups, and better protection of access to religious institutions, places of worship, and community spaces. Committee also noted that implementation, accountability, public reporting, and a parliamentary review are essential to the operation and public legitimacy of C-9. They also noted that funding and strengthening specialized hate crime expertise at the federal, provincial, and municipal levels is essential. They did recommend some relatively minor changes. Basically, protections, they said, should be expanded to expressly include Indigenous, religious, and cultural sites, as well as unmarked graves, burial sites associated with residential schools. On hate symbols, they noted that these symbols evolve over time and the government should establish an advisory body to evaluate hate symbols on an ongoing basis and recommend changes as needed, always ensuring that the distinction between unlawful intimidation and lawful protest is fundamental to the proper application of the law. And lastly, the committee stated that public communication and legal education is essential regarding the distinction between lawful religious expression and criminal hate propaganda. That's it.
Oh, thanks, Dick. That's very comprehensive. Any questions or concerns for Dick?
Just a question. The stuff we wrote on C9, where's that? What Sarah and I kind of wrote there on all of those topics. Miles?
Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle. Well, the last thing from what I understand is that now is that not what you were writing? You were doing up at Article 4 for the Justice Report?
No, the Justice Report is on AI.
Okay,
But
that's true,
Sarah and I wrote some comments on all of that, and
right?
particularly on the issue of religious places and stuff like that. Like we had some, I think, pertinent comment on how that maybe not in our the way we think about it.
We had,
Anyway,
Michelle, I don't remember anything about it.
oh my goodness.
Je m'en souviens pas du tout.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll send you guys everything we wrote there because we spent quite a lot of time. We reviewed so many of the briefs that had been proposed, and
Yeah.
we
Who and
recommended four things that I don't know. I must have got lost in the mail there. I'll send that
do
to.
you recall who it was sent to? Because
Well, it might have been just to Miles, but
oh,
I'll check.
okay,
Sorry
please.
about that, guys. But
No, no,
we
and
did
Miles,
spend
you
I don't
don't remember
recall it,
either.
I don't recall it, but if it's my fault, I apologize, Michelle. I
No,
realize.
no, no, no. I don't know, Miles, that it's your fault. Well, I'll follow up and send you what we wrote because we did a lot of thinking about all those issues, and
Yeah.
we thought that that would go to the sent in. So anyway, okay, I'll get back to you guys. Sorry.
I'll be glad to recirculate it, Michelle, when I get it.
Okay.
So make sure it gets out. Okay.
Can I just add, Dick, it's gone through a third reading in the Senate, right? If I recall reading before.
I think so. I'd have to go back and check to say for sure, but yes, I think that's right.
I think I just read it before in the part of the agenda. This has been bandied back and forth for quite a while, as you know better than anybody, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, I I mean, given what Michelle is saying, I don't know at what end, how we pick it up, if it is in fact close to becoming law. I don't know.
It may
I would-
be too late. It may be too late to do anything, but I think we would like to share our thoughts on that so
Yeah,
that, we're either of the same mind or we develop some kind of
right.
critical mind about it.
Well,
I'm seeing second reading about in the Senate, and it went. I'm just looking at what you sent us, Miles.
yes,
Third reading was March 25 in the House, and second reading in the Senate. Now, presumably, it comes back to the Senate again, or does it not?
it goes back to the House.
But it's been through the House through third reading, so presumably it's close to going to the new GG, right?
Well, I guess yeah, all right. Unless if they don't send it back with any amendments to the House, then to get the third reading, and that would then go to Madame
Acclamation.
Lacour.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll find out soon, I guess.
Sure.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
guys. Okay, thank you for that. So that's on the parliamentary committees. With respect to business arising, items number 4, there's nothing up to date with sub items A to K. There are 2 new items, and I've highlighted them in the agenda for you. The first one is Bill 119, Ontario policing legislation. I don't think I actually gave you the email I received from Christian Wong, who is the NDP justice critic in the provincial legislature. But I'm gonna read it for you
Yeah.
just because you should have the context of what she's asking us. This was sent to me on May 27th, so a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm reaching out because I thought the CCGA might want to provide some feedback on a new justice bill. The provincial government has recently introduced Bill 119, the Protecting Ontario Streets and Communities Act 2026. And she gives me a link to the full legislation. Bill 119 contains several amendments to policing policy in Ontario. We would like your feedback on the Schedule 3 amendments to the Community Safety and Policing Act of 2018. The new Section 3.1 gives the Solicitor General the power to issue directives to police service boards, establishing priorities that the board must reflect in their strategic plans. And we would like to hear from you. This is her office. Number 1, has your organization been in consultation with the Ministry of the Solicitor General regarding these policy changes? 2, how might directives from the Solicitor General impact the independence and local oversight function of police service boards, OPP detachment boards, and First Nation boards? Number 3, what potential challenges might police service boards face in accommodating and planning around directives from the Solicitor General? And 4, any other insights you might wish to share. Your feedback is essential for informed debate and policy making at the Legislature Assembly of Ontario. With your permission, your insights will be shared with other Ontario legislatures and help inform and develop our position on this recent legislation. I look forward to hearing you, and I responded to Ms. Wong indicating that I would bring it up at this meeting to decide what kind of response we would give. So we're open for suggestions. Peter, this is more your bailiwick than anybody's.
You just saw me click on my microphone. Um, I think we definitely need to say something about this. I think that there is a real concern of government or politicization of policing as a result of this, where government can actually dictate the direction that police services and boards first, and then they have to put it down to the police service itself, have to follow through on. It would actually scare me quite a lot if it comes in. We've just recently had west here the chief of Surrey Police leaving suddenly. Let's put it that way. Either retired or got kicked out. It's still not quite sure which, but it's closer they got kicked out. And that was where boards got appointed and government was to some degree involved. The other part is that We see it here under in Alberta with government direction being taken by the Minister of Justice, saying we want to do this, we want to do that, and just going ahead and making this a priority, and it must be followed. Also, the new naming of some members of the police board. And the ability for the government, I think they've always had it to some degree, to sort of just replace people on boards, etc. We saw that also with the law. What was it? Was it Law Reform Commission? No, the
All Foundation of Alberta.
yeah, thank you. Trying to get that where the government just wholesale cancel and then replace it with their own people to follow their own devices. I think that we definitely should make some comment, especially with respect to politicization of policing, and I would have to go back in and review Ontario's laws there. I'm more familiar with what's out here, and I know that there's slight differences between them right now. But I think and not being political on this in the sense of the NDP critic versus conservatives, just on the pure issue of politicization of police, because it can happen on either side of the political spectrum. So that would be my feeling that this is a worthwhile request, and it is in keeping with what CCJA's PRC is all about.
I would be happy to join Peter on a draft response, but Peter, given his background, probably would be a good lead.
I totally agree. That's a good idea, Matthew. Appreciate the offer, and I agree with Peter. I used to actually 100 years ago. I sat on a police services board. Back then, there was commissions, so I was a police commissioner in Ontario. Obviously, there was no politicization of anything that we had to deal with, other than from the municipal council, who appoints you actually back then. But yeah, I think we have to say something. I think we should have a response. It's just another example of the Ford government putting its opinion into law with the exercise of any number of decisions that are made. And it's just like school boards and what have you. It's become pretty overwhelming when you think about what they traditionally do as legislature and what the direction they're going and what they now are doing and want to do in the future. It's becoming a very it's somewhat authoritarian position to take.
And just one other, from what you read in the letter there, especially the impact on First Nations policing. First Nations policing is a whole different kettle of fish, to call it that, and actually really ties more toward the federal stand on that versus the province. Although again, the example in Alberta here is that we only have 3 First Nations accredited police services in Alberta. The rest of it's all done by the RCMP under the First Nations policing model that they have. But again, it has the government's focus does have an impact, because here, for example, with the Police Review Commission that's newly established since January, I believe it is, First Nations policing, at least those that are independent, are now under that governance as well, and to be investigated. So it's I'm just reinforcing that it's a real thing that should be looked at.
Yeah, I'll step out and Lyndon. I have no problem in preparing a preliminary brief. Just
What's our timeline, Miles?
well, she doesn't give us one, other than the fact that she wrote to us 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so the bill's been introduced. I haven't checked to see where it is. I hope it's probably still at first reading. I can double check that. I can probably generate a preliminary brief within a week, kind of thing, maybe a little less. I'll circulate it to, at this point, Peter and Matthew. Anybody else who'd like to have it beyond that? email chain at Irving. Okay, so I'll circulate it amongst the four of us, amongst the four of us, and then we'll decide where we want to go from there. I mean, and again, we have to be very careful. And Irving brought this to my attention when I first brought it to his attention, that we have to be very careful that we're not politicizing our position. Okay? We're just not stepping in because we support the NDP critic of the justice critic. That's not what our position is. Our position has to be, normative and unpolitical to some degree.
Yeah.
Apolitical. Anyway,
Apolitical.
yeah. So I think that's an action plan for us. So let's move forward in that direction. Anything else from anybody in that regard? Okay, good. So I'll make a note of that and then get back to you guys. Hopefully by the weekend, hopefully. Okay, the next item was brought to us by Tracy Bone. Tracy's a member of the CCGA and the PRC. And I'll just give you a little. In the agenda, I was going to put a link to the article, but I didn't, so I apologize. So I'll just tell you what she had to say, and then we'll take it from there. This deals with the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal decisions with respect to the treatment of deaf inmates. Okay. She says, this has long been an interest of mine. I have an older brother who is deaf. He and I communicate only through American Sign Language, as ASL is my second language. While working as a parole officer with CSC, I was assigned to supervise any deaf or hard of hearing offenders on conditional release in Winnipeg and the surrounding area. It was after viewing the challenges these offenders had both while incarcerated and on conditional release that I focused my 1998 Master of Social Work thesis on the topic. The title, Insiders in a Deaf World, Barriers for the Deaf Offender in the Hearing Criminal Justice System. That was her thesis. She said, sadly, many of the issues identified then by my participants continue to be experienced by LIDKEA and other deaf hard hearing offenders 30 plus some years later. And so what she wants to do now that it's on the agenda is she certainly wants to participate in how we deal with that going forward. Tracy couldn't make it today, but she said she certainly will make the next meeting of the PRC, and we can take it up then with respect to how we want to treat it, whether it's going to be a brief or a statement or a letter or whatever. We can discuss that at the time. Anybody have any other insight into this particular issue?
No. By the way, Miles, you did the link is there in the document.
Oh, good.
In the reference.
Good.
That you,
The one I printed didn't have this. I'm glad. I thought I had. Thanks.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, Matthew.
I've had experience working with deaf convicts being sentenced, as well as convicts who are doing time in penitentiary, and they have a very, very difficult time adjusting to the court and the prison system. The complete vast majority, I'd say 99% of staff cannot communicate with him. And so what you often encounter with a deaf inmate is a whole lot of anger and acting out on the part of the inmate because they can't communicate their desires and wishes. So this is a rare but penal population that requires quite a bit of assistance.
Understandable. It must be incredibly frustrating, especially in that environment. Thanks, Matthew. All right, so this is something that we'll return to when Tracy's back with us, and we'll take it from there to see what our action is going to be in light of the discussion we're going to have. That's all I have for new items, basically. Is there anything else in this category of items that people want to contribute to?
No, Miles, but I did send you what I sent you April. Well, actually, I had sent it to everybody in April.
Okay.
On C9. So I sent it back to you. Have a look at it, and if you think it's worth sharing with the rest of the group, then your call.
I'll certainly recirculate it. Michelle, the work that you put into it is certainly worthy of that. So I'll take care of that as soon as the meeting is over, and I can take a look at the email. Did you
Thank you.
resend it to me yet?
Yeah, I just sent it
Oh,
a second
super.
ago.
Okay, I'll resend it out after this meeting. All right, guys. Then the last item we have to consider are bills under consideration. So as usual, I've just highlighted any changes to bills with respect to additional readings. So there are no new government bills in the Commons to talk about. Just some bills that have advanced through their stages. Let me just see. Now, the next item would be private member bills in the Commons. And again, I've indicated what the changes are. And there was a new bill since our last meeting, Bill C-275, an act to amend the criminal code dealing with making it an offense to carry out certain activities in relation to visual recordings depicting non-consensual sexual activity. And that's a big thing, and then everybody knows that's a big thing in the news in the last month and change. Are the deep fakes and what have you, where incredibly unfortunately, offenders are taking the faces of, in many cases, people they know and put them on into very sexualized and depraved situations that look real as a function of AI, but certainly are not. And they do a lot of it's incredibly defamatory, and they do a lot of damage. So that's what this private members bill is. I'm surprised it's not a public bill, right, based on the damage that's being done. But there we go. We'll see whether it makes its way through the system or not. Any comments?
Maybe not on this, but on Bill C 243.
243?
Yeah,
Okay,
and that's the Amend Correction and Conditional Release Act, parole review. I would be interested in looking a little deeper into this bill because the way it's spelled out in your brief there, I would be inclined to approve that, to signify our approval of this new measure.
You would?
we'll
Yeah.
leave that with you, and I'll put that on the agenda.
Okay, I'll look at it and get back to you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate that, and we'll come back to it at our next meeting. So that's great. Okay, with respect to the Senate, no public public bills in the Senate. Private members bills. Again, I've highlighted bills that are moving through the readings, and we don't have any new bills, private member bills in the Senate since our last meeting. All right, guys. That's it for the agenda. Anything to add for the benefit of the members? All right, this is a June meeting. Now, the House rises on June 23rd. Traditionally, we don't meet in July and August and come back on the second Tuesday in September. Any thoughts, support, not support for that proposition?
I'm just wondering, Miles, if, like, for instance, I look at to C 243 and I want to share my comments and I feel that we need to react. How would we proceed if we're not meeting? Should I just write to you?
Yeah, you send it to me, Michelle, and I will circulate it and seeking a reply.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a little afterthought. There's a bit of controversy that has been raised by the former head of homicide for Toronto Metro, who wrote a book. Peter, you're familiar with the book.
Yeah.
In which he made a number of claims about policing, particularly in Toronto, but probably it applies maybe across the country. I'm not really talking about so much the racial claims as his arguments about accountability, training of officers, et cetera, et cetera. I just think it's kind of interesting. I'm going to be teaching Intro to Policing again, Peter, coming up the fall. Cross your fingers if I get the course. And it's just a very interesting controversy percolating at the present time here in Ontario.
True. Thanks, Matthew.
Miles, do you happen to know if the Ontario legislature runs all summer long? I don't have any idea.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
I'm just thinking again about the time frame for the response on
Yeah, I'm gonna check what stage it's at, basically, and then I'll check about rising for
Okay.
the summer.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I think,
Anything
I
else,
think,
guys?
yeah, one point on the Ontario legislature, I think they've just recessed or are about to recess for 5 months. So I think I just saw that in the paper today.
Well, that gives us some time. Yes, Matthew.
Question to our expert, Richard. Richard, if this bail legislation is enacted into law at the federal level, where are we going to put all of the detainees?
Well, Ontario has a plan. They've just committed, I can't remember if it's 5 or $10 million toward new construction of jails.
You meant a billion with a B.
Oh, billion. Yeah, you're right. You're
I
right.
was gonna say, yeah, million,
Yeah.
really much.
Yeah. So that's all I know.
Well, you know that the history of corrections in North America is almost inevitably when they have what they regard or deem as a crisis. There's a building campaign. One of the things they don't do is look around for alternatives or restorative justice or any other options.
Right.
True.
Yeah. By the way, Miles, it says the legislature will not be sitting until the 27th of October.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
That's what, Richard, you're saying the same thing, I guess, what you read. So you have a few days anyway to
We
do
do.
that.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, can I have a motion then that we adjourn until September the 8th for our next meeting? Matthew? Seconder?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
I
Have a
have
great,
one
no talk.
second.
Have a wonderful summer.
Yes,
Take
bye,
care,
everybody.
guys.
Guys, take care.
Bye.
Same to you guys.